As a data scientist, you probably don't like behavioral interviews. Most of our job is coding and doing analysis, so you may think, what's the point? However, working well in a team, going about your work in the correct manner is really important, and employers know this. That's why in this video, I want to break down my top tips for nailing your next behavioral interview. Let's get into it. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. It's an ancient saying and it's quite cringy, but it is really true. No matter where you are in your working career, you should prepare for everything: a job, meeting, and particularly your interviews. The time you spend preparing for your behavioral interview will of course vary per person, but I personally use around 4 to 5 hours. For some people that might seem a lot, but it's always better to be over-prepared. If you have extensive interview experience or just doing loads of interviews at a time, then you can obviously prepare less. I often find that individuals will know when they're ready. So don't focus necessarily on how much time you spend preparing, just focus on feeling prepared, because that's a much better outcome. I appreciate this one is quite obvious, and I'm sure the majority of people do it anyway. But I'm adding in here for completeness because preparation is by far the best strategy for any interview. If you are looking for a platform to practice and improve your interview skills, then I recommend Dataford. They offer practices for behavioural, technical, and even mock interviews to ensure that you're well prepared. I will leave a link in the description below, and make sure you use my discount code EAGLE at checkout. Have you heard of the saying, less is more? Well, this is the exact attitude I like to take to interviews. For your behavioural interview, I suggest having 2 to 3 really good stories on anything you've done. So that could be a technical project or some sort of non-technical initiative that you conducted or ran. These projects are likely to include so many elements like meeting and presenting to stakeholders, hurdles and obstacles that you overcame, key metrics and results that were improved, the technical details around the algorithm you implemented, coding and deploying to production, how you measured impact, and communicating with team members and getting buy-in. All these things are questions on their own. So you can use the same story but answer multiple questions with that same story or set of stories that you have. I want to stress that you're not repeating yourself. You're just using different facets of your projects and work to answer different questions, which is totally okay. When you're explaining your story, make sure you go really slowly. The interviewer probably has zero knowledge of how your company operates or the project you've worked on, or even a technical field that it's in. So almost treat them like an idiot and make sure you're clear when you explain exactly what you did, how you did it, and the outcomes. Because like I said, if they have no context and you're just rushing over it, then they have no clue what's going on. And if they have no clue what's going on, then chances are the interview just won't go down well. And finally, when you do answer the questions, try and loop everything back to how you can help with them in their current situation. What I mean by this is, let's say you're answering a question or you're discussing a project you've done about building a recommendation system. Let's say the company you're interviewing for has some sort of recommendation engine. Well, when you're discussing your project, the hurdles, the outcomes, your knowledge, try and loop back all that knowledge and the ways you solve those problems to the current company's recommendation engine. Because it shows that 1, you're prepared, 2, you're explaining exactly how you can be an impact to that company, which is invaluable. Even though it's impossible to know the exact questions you'll be asked, it's good to have answers to some of the most basic ones, and chances are a lot of the questions you'll be posed to you will be modifications or slight variations of these classics. Anyway, the questions I recommend you have answers for are: tell me about yourself. Can you spot and solve problems on your own? Could you walk me through your resume? Why do you want to work for us? What's your motivation for a job change? Describe a time you led a project. Describe a time you solved a conflict. Describe a time you used data to convince a stakeholder. What are your strengths and weaknesses? How do you handle failure and grow from it? Describe a time you failed. On the screen here and in the description below, I will link an article for Interview Query who have more behavioural questions like this that you can practice and get some answers for. A common framework that is used throughout the industry is the STAR method, and I would employ this whenever you're answering these questions. STAR stands for scenario, so kind of like what's the background or scenario of the problem. Task, which was what did you have to do? Action, what did you do? And result, like what was the outcome? And if you can answer most of your questions using this framework, then you'll be doing very well. As well as having answers to basic questions, you should also have a list of questions that you're going to ask the interviewer. It doesn't necessarily matter the exact questions you ask, it's more that you have some and you come prepared. Because like I said, that looks really good, you're prepared, you're keen, and you're willing to explore more about that company to make sure it's a right fit for you as well as for them. However, the following list is ones I recommend you ask, and they typically go down quite well. How do you see the future of the data science team and company in 1, 5, and 10 years? What are the biggest obstacles you're currently facing? What's one thing you wish you could change right now? What's the most critical thing you want to work on? Imagine I join tomorrow. What will be a great 6 months to a year? How does growth look like for data scientists at this company? These questions get them thinking, and they're not just the regular run-of-the-mill ones they probably get asked every interview. Also, when they do answer your questions, don't reply with just thanks, okay, makes sense, whatever. Try to start a conversation after the response, because 1, it shows that you're engaged in the interview and you're interested in what they have to say, and 2, it's another opportunity to sell yourself and display your skill sets and how you can be an asset to the company. This one is often overlooked, but it's probably 50% of the reason why you will do well in the interview. If you are nervous, scared, frightened, then the interviewer will see this, and chances are the interview will just get worse because there's kind of like that friction between you and the person you're speaking to. My main bit of advice for appearing more charismatic and confident is use your hands when you speak at a good pace and not too quick or too slowly. Just smile as much as you can, and if possible, throw in some humor here and there. You essentially just want to appear friendly, personable, and approachable, because who wouldn't want to work with someone like that? Even if your response or the way you phrase things isn't the best way to answer the question, the way you deliver it makes a huge difference. If you enjoyed this video and you want more data science advice like this, then make sure you check out my weekly newsletter, Dishing the Data. I send it every Monday morning, and it's all about my thoughts and experiences as a practicing data scientist. If that sounds interesting, I'll leave a link in the description below for you to check it out.